Right, right.
But, alright.
You gonna drop that intro,
Well,
though?
oh yeah, I was getting ready to do it.
Oh, my bad. Drop that intro, Jack.
Give me a Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is your Friday commute with Steve and Jack on Real Talk Vlogs. On this week's upload, we are talking all things B5, S4, and we'll sprinkle just a little bit of our S4 stuff in there because we got to set the status quo here of what was not available to us here in the United States, but was still because if we got him here, we'd probably do an episode, frankly.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we're going to go over track times, people in history. We're even going to give Steve and I are also going to go over a little bit of backstory behind how him and I both owned our B5. But I interrupted you here a second ago. I'm sorry. I don't feel like that had the momentum as last intro.
Yeah.
Sorry, world.
You're good. You're good. I was following with the flow of your intro there. I was just gonna say that in the hierarchical world of B5s, the RS4 is untouchable. Like, that is the king cheese of B5s there. You know.
Yeah.
Only came in a manual. Only came in a wagon. Period. Audi did that one right.
Yeah. Real right.
We should follow up though. How was your week, man?
You know, I got my clutch out of the C5 yesterday, so my fat 2.7, my fat S4, right now. Wookiees. Remember? Let's rewind back to April.
Yeah.
I came down out of Fontana, went to do a Donny thing with I forget his name. I want to say it was Donald.
A passenger.
Donald Passenger?
No, I don't know what his name was. I said a passenger.
Oh, I thought you said, like, passenger. I thought you said his last name. My bad. His name's Passenger. ADD. Okay, anyway, with the passenger, came around, went from fourth or third, somewhere in there, went to grab second, ripping, boom, nothing. Clutch is gone. It wouldn't go nowhere, thought it was dead. You've seen it. I told you this. But for those of you who don't, this is like the synopsis. And I said, screw it. I looked at my passenger, said, you ready to walk? He had a torn ACL.
He was not ready to walk.
He said yes, though. Props off that he was like,
yeah,
all right,
right,
well, yeah, let's
right.
do it.
Good for him.
Right, and we turned around and walked a mile back to camp, and I had a megaphone, I was calling y'all's name like a lost homie in the woods.
Yeah, we went pretty hard that weekend, and that was not exactly in the middle of the day. So
yeah, it was definitely like 1 o'clock in the morning. But correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you guys come down off of a run? You guys were coming down off of a run on the mountain.
I don't know.
So
that was a long time ago, bud.
I do have something has been itching at me, and I'm gonna ask. Was it y'all with the aluminum foil?
What? What are you talking about?
That's what I figured. Okay.
You'll have to look, man. You'll have to talk to security. Mostly, if I had to guess, if anybody knew anything about that, it would be Roddy. But maybe Matt, Heidi. I don't know. I don't know. So what are you talking about? Aluminum. Tell the tale, bud.
Oh, I was just getting ready to tell them that. So, at any rate, we walked back to camp. It was technically early AM Sunday, 4:20, because we were getting ready. No, 4:19. It was 4:19 because Monday's 4:20.
Yeah.
We've yet to be. I'm hollering and hollering and hollering. I'm like, help! I got a guy with a broken foot. Anyway, we walked all the way back. Everybody comes back, like, ironically, like 10 minutes after we got there.
Oh yeah, we did pull up, and you all were like still hobbling around the campsite. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
And we were trying, because I wasn't sure if you guys were up, or I didn't know where y'all were. Like, I was hoping that maybe you guys were either at the campground or if you guys were coming down if you were at Fontana and maybe heard me. I didn't know.
Yo,
So-
let me clarify. I never heard you.
No, because y'all showed up after. Wait a minute, you were in the van. Weren't you asleep? No. I'm about to go back to the tape.
Bro, it was Wookiees. We're gonna have to go back to the tape.
Any rate, okay, so fast forward. Later that morning, we load up, we progress, go to pick up my car, and my entire front end of my car is covered in aluminum foil.
Like a
I
body
had-
kit?
It looked like somebody tried to wrap it in aluminum foil. Like the bash bar, the steering wheel, the headrest.
I may
think
have
so-
seen pictures. I may have seen some pictures.
I'm pretty sure there's some pictures. I'll post one up right here
Yeah.
after the fact when we go in.
They
and edit
exist for sure.
this.
Dude, that's great.
But now fast forward to a month and a half ago, my boy Mikey comes over and says, "Hey Jack, he starts playing with the transmission and we start screwing, and the thing lunges in higher gear. So I'm like, oh shit, it's just the clutch is toasted. Any rate, I got the clutch out yesterday and I posted some pictures on my Instagram today. Put them up here, or if you follow me on Instagram, it's at Rowdy Outy. Shameless plug moment. And the friction disc, toast my ghost. Like, it's even with the there's nothing there. They're even with the bolt heads completely. And they're button heads. So if you guys out there in the world know what a button head, I guess, is, it's like a machine set or a machine set screw. So it recesses down into the friction disc, and then there's a stack of material. I think it's like 1/4 of an inch overall thickness. This is like a B5 race car things. You could not get these. You know that? You could not order a friction disc for A6 on anybody's website. You had to order it all for a B5, Steve.
I mean, that's believable.
Yeah. Most shit for a C5, if you have a 2.7, you go in, if it's from the front half of the car forward, just order a B5. It's the same damn thing. Done.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I play B5 games.
Okay. I have the same subframe, the 2 bolt hole frame. Yeah, I have that. That's my thing. I help the homologation laws
Right
for the
on.
car.
Yeah, so
I guess
So you have a new clutch on the way? No, you've removed your old clutch, and that's where you are now.
I got it all apart. What I was getting ready to do, the rant I was on, was anybody out there in the world who's listening to this at some point between now and the end of time, if you happen to have the B5S4 non-Sachs pressure plate part number, please put it in the comments section below to help the rest of the world out till the end of time, because no one wants to give it down. I have looked. I can't find it on forums that are 20 plus years old or 10 years old. It doesn't exist. And, yeah. So that's where my life story is at right now. And I can't find this part number. And I think I fucked up when I did my motor swap. Remember when I blew my motor last year?
Essentially, yes.
The timing belt slippy thing when I took the car to Wookiees and it never drove?
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
there for that too. That was 2019 though. We didn't go in 2020.
Yeah, okay. That's right. So, 2 years ago when I toasted my motor because of I never reset the sacks on the clutch, and I think with the overall machining of the friction disc and everything else, the pop I heard was the last disc engagement. Yeah.
So
So
you're saying
shenanigans happened.
have a little human error there in the Man, time out for 1 second. I have so many stories of me trying to do stuff myself as a non-mechanic type person, right? I'm in the construction business, but
Yeah.
as somebody that's a car enthusiast, you take on a certain amount of DIY stuff, and I've got stories for days on simple mistakes that lead to like prolonged periods of more diagnostic. Whereas if you're somebody that's worked on these cars a lot, where we're at now, in terms of like, we know what to do and where to do it and how to do it and what things to look for and what are the normal parts that have kind of fallen apart that we need to address. The first time around and you've never done these things before, be prepared for a little bit of afterthought because it's gonna happen.
Well, not even just that, but the slow down, like in the German car world, there's little things like, on the fuel rail line, there's 2 wrench points. Don't take a 19 millimeter and just crank the freaking one side.
Right.
They put a nut on this side. You go grab the 17 and the 15, or the 17 and the 16.
17 and 19. 17 and 19, bud. 17 and 19.
Well, 17 and 19 is the power steering. I just took it apart.
You're right.
The fuel
You're
line,
right.
I think the fuel line's like a 17 and a 15 or a 17 and a 16.
Look, so I've gotten to the point, right, where I want to do more performance-oriented things with my B5 than I trust my mechanical skill set to deliver in a safe manner. Follow me? So, like, I was fine when I was putting an air filter on and a set of downpipes and an exhaust and bolting on, some different coil packs or basic stuff like that. But, I want to know that the rods that went in my motor were not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that DIY mechanics can't exist, but I realized pretty quickly that I want to go faster than I trust myself.
Okay.
How many loose bolts have I left? Too many. Hey,
you know how you solve every loose bolt?
But what's that?
You know how you solve every single loose bolt?
Tighten it a little bit.
No, put Permatex Loctite on it from the beginning.
Okay, all right. But anyway, projects that we're working on and what has kind of brought us to this episode is obviously I'm still working on a B5 project, right?
Yeah, speaking of which, what is the current status of the B5?
I drove it off the trailer under its own power today.
How did that feel?
It's been a long time coming, and there's so much parts of me that just wants to like give it the full rip.
Give it beans.
But it's in. I dropped it off at a shop that's closer to home than OSP had it up in Ohio, and they went through a bunch of the stuff that just needed small address, fuel injectors and just some minor loose ends that they got sorted, and ran into some wiring stuff that they had some trouble getting figured out. And I mean, props to him for saying, hey, look, this is kind of out of my, something's going on here that I can't commit to. So I've dropped it off at a shop closer here that the guy that does the wrenching has extensive B5 experience and has built a lot of B5s. So I'm not going to put his name out there now. I'll put it out there when I get the car back. But
I'm going to say, if I remember right, he used to be somebody way up here at some place that's way up here that we all know in the macro.
We'll go there, sure. But it should be good. It's in good hands. And then while it's there, the shop that it's at shares a building with my friend Berlin, owns a detail business. And so it's going to get a full detail, and the wheels are going to get like ceramic coat, essentially, to keep the brake dust off of them, and the car will be sorted. I don't know how long it's going to take, but the car's in good hands. It'll be sorted. But just pushing the throttle and putting in gear and driving it around a little bit I got the bug, man. The bug's not going anywhere. Yeah.
So we were talking, you mentioned detailing. I'm sorry, I'm sending you some pictures right now.
Okay. For those who don't know, Jack and I are in completely different time zones. So
it's 8:04 here.
It's an hour ahead of that here. So sometimes he gets sidetracked and sends me pictures because I'm not there to look at them with him.
Yeah, we're not.
So you detailed the RSX, huh?
Yeah, we're talking about the RSX. So, current event projects. Another back bit of Steve and I is, even though this is off topic but on topic, I'm leaning like I'm trying to lean into my mic here. My bad. Steve and I both have RSXs. He has the base model.
Yo, you can say it. It's a commuter. All right, it's my daily. It is the base model. It is as stock as they come. It is more stock than the Hibiscus.
Is it?
You know, it does. It has 0 mods. 0. It is as
Zero,
it came
zero?
from Acura in 2005.
Does it have OEM grade tires, or are they better than?
They're better than.
I'm just curious.
I'm guessing they're better than, because base model. If it was a Type S, I'd be less convinced that they were better, but it's not.
Okay, so we were talking about detailing and some random thought. Did you see the pictures I sent you?
I did. It looks good.
Dude, that's super clean. Did work on those wheels. You need to try some.
Yeah, I can't. All right, I'll get there. I am literally about as hands off from the laser as I've ever been. You know, so I've trusted it into the hands of other folks, which is hard for me, but you know, I'll trust. Look, Premium 304 Detail in Boonesboro, Maryland, run by Berlin McKay. Okay, I'm plugging this guy. He puts out some of the best detail jobs, or the best detail jobs. I have seen him rescue cars from like absolute disaster to cars you want to be in. You know,
really?
So yeah, it's impressive. Some of the work he's done is very impressive. So I'm leaving the laser's in good hands, and even if it doesn't run worth a shit, it's gonna look good.
Yo, when I get my biological car accident death R8, I'll send it his way.
Oh, okay, all right.
You do it for like 10 grand. Real talk. Here, you want a real talk vlog moment? You want to save and buy an Audi R8? Here's how you do it. You buy one in a car accident in a front end collision. I had my opportunity to buy one. It's about $20,000. Right? If you buy one in a with a biohazard warning on it, you're gonna get it between 10 and 15 grand, no matter what the mileage is, or less depending on how high it is.
I'm not going that route, Jack. I'm sorry, man.
No,
like,
it's the same thing. Whatever.
Look,
what is it gonna have? They're gonna have a biological stamp because it's got COVID in it.
I guess. I mean,
somebody got shot in it. It's blood. That's all that's a biological agent. It was blood in it of some sort.
Yeah, that's gonna be a strong nah. Strong no, bud. On my, you can have it. You know,
right
you
on.
can have it.
I'll take that. Here, I'll have everything reupholstered. It'll be great, and I'll still be less than MSRP.
Well, of course, but all right. So back to B5s. We are here to establish the domineering history of the B5 S4 and the presence it has had in the automotive world since about 1996.
Not to mention the unwavering fact that it is the king bean of the Audi to this day. It is still the best. There's nothing else better than it. Maybe an RS7 or an R8 LMR. We won't go there.
Look, I'll just point this out. You can't buy a new B5.
You can't. You can try with the S3.
It's incredible how close they are in dimension, since you mentioned that. I'm talking about the S3 or the RS3, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
the
Put them
RS3
side by side
is...
on a piece of paper.
What's that?
You put them side by side on a piece of paper.
Like every dimension is super close. But we talk about performance of the RS3, you know, anybody in the Audi world knows that like those cars can be built to some extreme. We talked about it last week. The RS3 now is what the B5 S4 was in the street world in 2000, 2001, 2002. People were paying close to $3,000 for tubular exhaust manifolds for a B5 S4 in 2005.
Mm.
You know, like...
I think my APR kit in 2008, if my memory serves me, was like 8 or 9 grand.
Yeah, for a complete kit, you
Mhm.
know. And they
I don't even
sold
know
a
what they are
bunch
now.
of them. They sold a
What?
bunch. They sold so many. I mean,
Huh.
any B5S4 that, not any of them, but I would say a large portion of B5S4s out there. The moment that the KO3 or KO3s had a problem, people were looking at turbo options. Like, what can I upgrade? And then, of
Mhm.
course, there weren't a whole lot of KO3s lasting because the moment that people bought them, they're like, oh, what piggyback chip can I solder into the ECU? And, what analog boost gauge can I install on my column? And what, you know, dude, it took work to modify these cars, and where we've gotten to today is so far from where we were 20 years ago in terms of tuning. But the B5 is, people are still today developing new aftermarket parts for the 27T. And so, like, folks like you are introducing products to the DIY market. So, and there's literally both ends of the B5 spectrum, because we've got where you can buy a relatively clean B5S4 for $4,000 or $5,000, and you can say, okay, well, I've spent $4,000 or $5,000 on this car. If I set this budget less than 10 grand, I can make X amount of horsepower. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have guys that are saying, okay, I've owned this car 20 years. I'm now going to build it.
Oh, you mean like you?
Maybe. But,
Okay, so just hold on. I'm not to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
you mentioned Costa B5S4s, and I think your numbers are a little hazy. So
I haven't been in the purchasing market for a B5S4 in some time. So,
as part of my due diligence and research, when we decided to take B5S4s as a topic for this week's podcast, I decided to take it upon myself as the resident prior car dealership owner to educate myself on current pricing. So, carsforsale.com, top results, $18,995 for
okay.
2001.
Stop. Let me, I'm going to say it is either Nagaro, Laser, Hibiscus, or Cactus. It has less than 120,000 miles. It is a manual, and it's 100% stock.
It is 93,000 miles.
Okay.
It is silver.
Shut the front door.
Whoa, dude, check it out.
You realize 80%. Okay, time out. First off, I don't really like for sale ads. I like to know what they sold for.
I get that. I get
Okay.
that. I get that.
But
Hold on.
80% of B5S4s were silver.
Yeah, silver's the fastest color.
80% of them. There were 8 other colors, by the way. Okay,
Here
continue.
is. Hold on. There was one. I forget. What's the blue? I forget the blue.
Nagaro blue,
No, the other blue, the navy.
Santorin. There's
Is that what it is?
Nagaro is the light blue and Santorin is the dark blue.
Santorin, that's what it is.
Okay.
So this one has 223,000 miles on it.
Okay.
Price unavailable. There
I
was
bet
one
you
on-
that one's 3 to 5, like I was talking about.
Right. Well, my fat S4 cost me 800. The
All right.
C5. In case anybody wants to know what a fat S4 is, that's a C5 A6 270 01E car factory.
My friend Justin from Winchester has a C5 A6. It's GT28 build or a K24 build. Rods, headwork. I mean, it's in progress, but his license plate is Fat S4.
Nice. Is it PHAT?
No, it is not.
Oh, it's clear FAT.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only thing that's fatter than a C5 that still has a 2.7 is an all-road. And it's
Yeah.
like a lot.
But that's an all road with an. I mean, an all road is C5 with an ass.
Yeah, it's a pedonkadonk.
Yeah, I'd take an all road.
Yeah, but it's also got a air ride factory.
Yeah.
Cheapest one that I found on Car for Sale was $7,500
For
with 100.
for an all road or S4 still.
Oh, an S4.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, okay. Focus on S4s
7,500 with
today.
154,000.
Okay. I paid. This is full disclosure here. The Hibiscus, which has a white interior and an O1E and is extremely low production numbers, 100% stock.
Ish.
It has some springs. I have factory springs for it. It will be
They're not
100%
on it.
stock here shortly. 4 years ago, 8 grand.
Yeah.
I paid 8K
Yeah.
for that car. In 2008, I paid 10 grand for the Laser Red, but it was an automatic. So like, dealer lots wanted more money for it because they could sell automatics, but nobody that wanted to buy an S4 was buying an automatic.
No.
But
4 years
the car
ago
was
when I
6 years old. The car was 6 years old, and I paid 10 grand for it. And they were $38,000 new.
Yeah. I didn't buy mine new either.
Yeah.
But I also didn't buy mine stock.
Okay. All right.
So I got mine.
I'm sorry. Time
Is it
out.
or-
What stage was it in?
It was that already had that APR kit on it.
Oh, it was full stage 3, huh?
It was an AWE. I still have, you know that AWE inlet that's on my car?
Yeah.
That big silicone AWE. So I have one of the original AWE billet 90 millimeter MAF housings. Like,
Nice.
yeah. I still run that to this day. Freaking amazing piece, by the way. But I had the AWE with the APR inlets. It was the entire APR kit on there. I did not have their bipipe, and then I think it was an APR Stage 2 Plus at the time.
Well, 2 plus would be stock turbos.
No, it was not a stock turbo car.
Well, then it was a stage 3 car.
Ew.
Do
Then it was a Stage 3 Plus.
Do you
It
want
was a Stage something.
Do you want to hear this? All of the so anybody that's listening to this that isn't familiar with B5 S4s, there's been all sorts of tuning options out for them, and as time went on, folks started to call different levels of tune stages. So a stage 1 tune was essentially a stock car with an ECU reflash or a soldered on chip originally. And then a stage 2 car would be a tune and an intake and an exhaust, and then a stage 2 plus car would be an intake and exhaust and some downpipes. And then we had the stage 3 cars, which were essentially all of the stage 2 mods with KO4 turbos. Stage 3 minus was KO4 turbos but factory fueling, and then obviously bigger GT stuff. Stage 3 plus was like RS6 size turbos or bigger, and of course nowadays we have single turbos and Garrett G25s. As turbo tech evolves, all of the stages keep evolving without getting a new name. So like
okay?
Yeah, I got the hiccups. So like a stage 3 car from 2008 or 9 made 350 wheel horsepower, right? So, and that was a good average, middle of the run tune. Some tuners were more aggressive, some were a little softer. It was just kind of personal preference. But 350 wheel is like a tuned B8.
Yeah, nowadays it is.
And so it's not that the B5s aren't capable of making power. It's just the factory components were not as capable then as the factory components are now. I mean, we're going so far in terms of the evolution of B5 S4 tuning that companies like Tweetler Performance are putting out billet engines and saying, okay, well, this engine's good for 1,000 wheel and this engine's good for 1,500 wheel. Like, that wasn't even a thing in 2010.
I think it was a thing in like 2012. If I remember right, the first like big powered like 1,000 horsepower plus article I remember looking back was like 2011 or 12.
For a B5, yeah. But
No,
I'm
well,
talking
it
about
was
the
an
billet.
RS4.
I was talking about the billet engines weren't.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Back
something.
then,
We're talking about a 20-year-old car, but the evolution of the like tuning options that are available in the last 18 months, a new evolution of tuning potential has been opened up. You know, so like you talk about big builds from back in the day. There was it was Oz, but it was a B5 RS4 wagon with GT28s that ran high nines, lots of spray. Like, that used to be the pinnacle car for everybody that was building a stage whatever car. They're like, oh, well, look, this is possible. And, you know, that back when the platforms were newer, people that had them then were invested, and they were willing to spend more money to make their cars that much faster. And so a lot of those guys have moved on to the newer platforms, but the R&D that they paid for then is still relevant. And another one is it starts with an H. Hanover Hardcore. Phillips' his name, has a B5 S4 that has, I think, TTE tuning products on it. But there's a video of it at an airstrip event, you know, going door to door or walking away from a Veyron. So
I think that's the video I seen today.
Like, you can't. A lot of people have moved on from the B5 because it's an older platform, but it's not a not capable platform. And
well, when you hold on now, let's just. It is 100% like. There are some, just to put this in clear in here. You say it's 100% as a capable platform, especially with the amount of engine swaps that are also now available. When you look at some of these, like Malacca they put VRs in them. Our guy on the internet who's doing RS6 swaps. Stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
there's a Martin Harp out of, I think, Illinois is doing S6 V10s in a B5, and that requires, like, you have to reposition the transmission, and your axle angle needs modified. There's all this extra stuff that goes into it, but people are still playing games with a car that there wasn't really a whole lot of when they were sold new. You know what I mean? It wasn't like this is a mass production Ford Mustang or Chevy Camaro that there's always spare parts for. You know?
The recap. That Hanover Hardcore, that one, that was the one that I...
He left, guys.
That was weird.
Oh, he's back, guys.
That was very, very weird.
Yeah, I don't have your, you're not on camera for me, so just keep chatting it up, fella.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. That was the weirdest thing in the world. Hi.
Hi.
At any rate, I put my phone up in front of the camera and it freaked out.
Welcome back from intermission.
Welcome. Oh, that was a very short intermission. Yeah, the Hanover Hardcore. No, this guy, if I seen a video, this is the same one that the guy went back and I think, isn't he the all carbon body guy?
Yeah, so that car, I don't know the full story. It caught fire. Whether it was caught fire while he was driving or caught fire while it was stolen or caught fire, it caught fire. It burnt to the ground, right? And he is having, I need to learn German so I can watch the full YouTube series, but he's having a complete carbon body put on that car.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's sick. Like, how much do you think the weight caught? How much weight does that cut?
A lot.
Steve, I got a question for you.
Oh, ask away, man. I'm a book of knowledge here.
All right, we're going to test it. What is the stock limited top speed of a B5 S4? Is it?
I was gonna ask you. Are you asking for the mechanical limit of gearing or the electronic limit?
Oh, okay. Give me the electronic limit. Hit me with the VAG number.
All right. So depending on which country you're in, it's either 155 or 148.
You're right. So I found it to be 155.3 is what the general consensus was, but then I
Okay.
found somebody saying top speed of 162. So let me ask you this: as a
If you remove
stock
the
pe-
limiter, the gearing will allow for 186.
I know for a fact with a six-gear final drive change, six-gear change, that you can do 205 in a B5.
Okay, well, I'm talking about a factory. I mean, obviously, you're not
Yeah,
doing
perfect.
186 with stock power, but if you leave all the gearing alone, look, listen, 186 in a B5 on
Oh,
a,
you're moving.
a lightly modified suspension and lightly modified brakes is way faster than you ought to be going. Okay, you need full suspension, full brakes for anything at 186. Not that I
Full
would know.
brakes,
Not that I would
kind of
know.
good suspension.
All right, all right. So, continue with your questions.
Factory torque spec of a spark plug on a 2.7.
Do you want it in Newton meters or foot pounds?
Newton meters.
This is hurting. I want to say it's like 38, and I don't know why.
Is that Newton meters? Or
Yeah.
inch pound? Newton meters. Per Google, the factory torque spec of a spark plug is 25 Newton meters.
25. Okay, I was a little
25.
heavy. I would have stripped it right out the head. It's
Yeah,
fine.
you'd have been fine.
Okay, okay.
You'd
Look,
been
I
fine. I'll be
prefer. I honestly prefer the very German spec of Gutentite.
I am a Gutentite type of person. I actually did some spark plugs on an E36 tonight, which one of those rare cases where I ever work on a BMW.
Yeah.
And Dom was like, "Hey, are you sure they're tight?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Do you got a torque bar?" I was like,
German
Yeah.
spec.
"Sure, yeah." Check this. I did it. Grab the trace meter, 36, 38. They're supposed to be at like 24.
Okay.
I was like, but dude, when we went to take them out, I took them out by hand. No wrench required.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
good. That's not
No.
good.
That's what happens when you use a torque bar that's not spec to good and tight.
All right, all right. Dude,
Alright.
you got more questions? Yo, look, I just want to say, man, I've got quotes from original articles about the B5S4. So carry on with your questions. I got good stuff coming too, man.
What was the 0 to 60?
For the Tiptronic or the manual, and then for the sedan or the wagon.
Fuck you. I didn't go that deep.
Okay. Okay. So the per Motor Trend, it's 5.5 seconds, for the 6-speed sedan, and I think the Avant was like 0.2 slower, like 5.7.
Really?
Yo, it's
Yeah, wait a minute. Say it again.
I'm fairly
It's 10?
no, the Avant,
Uh-huh.
I think the Avant 6-speed was 0.2 slower to 60.
I would believe that.
Yeah,
I
the
would believe
Tiptronic to 60 is pretty slow, but first gear's nasty. 0 to 40, the Tiptronic's gonna hurt feelings big time. That's all of first gear. I'm just saying.
All of it.
Yeah,
What's that rev to? What's the auto's rev to?
68 ish.
Not happily?
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, the KO3s do not want to be at 6,800 RPM. Okay, you ain't doing nothing there, but you know,
They're hot air movers at
yeah,
that point.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. So last week you mentioned track times. You were talking about Nurembergs and all that jazzy
Yeah, well,
stuff.
it's like I'm not a huge fan of the Nürburgring lap time, because I think a lot of auto manufacturers chase it and overdevelop cars for like better for that course than they would be to be drivers cars on the road, right? And
Valid.
I feel like there are cars being sent to the Nürburgring that don't need to go.
Well, this record comes from 2007.
Okay, all right.
I give you a time frame of the car's been on the market for 7 years now. how fast do you think the B5S4 in stock fashion from a rolling lap, which means it was already moving on when it hits cross?
Aren't they all rolling laps?
I guess so. I don't know. I didn't look that many
I'm fairly certain that the Nürburgring, like the Nordschleife lap times, are all rolling hot laps.
Okay. Here, the reason we have to bring up the Nuremberg is it's a German car in a German country.
Facts, man.
The car was definitely tested and developed there and on the Autobahn.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not one of my personal favorite things, but it's an industry standard benchmark to look at. Yeah.
Also, for me personally, I'm going to drive the Nuremberg in 2025.
I think we talked about that earlier. 2025, yeah.
2025.
So
2026.
I'm gonna back up to your question here. You're asking what a modified B5 S4 will do in the Nürburgring after it's 10 years old?
No, a stock one. So this record, how fast do you think a stock B5 S4 was in 2007 around the Nuremberg?
Why would they run a 7-year-old car?
I don't know, but they did, and that's where this record came from. I'll find it and bring it back up for you.
Okay, I'm gonna say they did it in 8:28.
That's really close, actually. It was 8:42, and it was set by a site called Per Fastest. The record I found it was on perfastestlaptimes.com.
Okay.
So if you want to know why they did it and whatnot, the car that did it in 2007 was 8:42. Comparison on that, an S3 8L does it in 8 minutes 41 seconds.
That's 2 minutes slower than an RS3. 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
But you're talking about 20 years of evolution.
True. So you get a minute for every 10 years?
Sure. We'll go with that.
Your brother's ITR is 1 second slower, though. Like it should be.
To be clear, Matt's got a GSR, not an ITR.
Okay. So it's probably 5 seconds slower. No, an ITR does it in 8 minutes 43 seconds. I thought it was interesting. The average speed they did around there was 88 miles per hour, so they were just fast enough to go Back to the Future.
Okay. Yeah. Imagine we're going to do a movie. Since we're going to Germany in 2025, we're going to do our movie in maybe 2035, and we'll go back to the B5. Back to the Future 5, back to the B5.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
So, I'm down.
We should do it on the 25th anniversary.
Oh, that's 5 years from now, though. See,
Wait, should we do? We should have. Hey, mark our calendars for 2025. While we're in Germany, let's do a 25th anniversary road trip. That's what
Yeah, we got
around the world.
We gotta make our plans. But, so are you ready to hear? Do you have more track stuff?
No, you're good. I feel kind of weak sauced over here with your brain being flexed on me.
I mean, I didn't mean it that way.
It's all right. I bought my B5 built.
Okay.
I didn't build my B5.
All right. So here
you have more history. Let me just clear the air here real quick. I have owned my C5A6 longer than I owned a B5.
Okay.
All right. The other B5 S4 I own right now is a rolling shell with no motor and a whole bunch of shit on the interior keeping it dry.
Okay. All right.
So I owned my 3 years.
I have owned my B5 13 years. 13 years, yeah.
So you've owned yours almost as long as I've owned my C5. So that makes sense. Okay.
And I've owned had possession of the Hibiscus 4.5 years or so. But the Laser, the red car, I bought as a Tiptronic car. And then I put a torque converter in it, and I put some KO4s, and I put some downpipes on it. And I ran factory intercoolers, factory exhaust, factory heads, factory everything. KO4s, injectors, and downpipes. And that, basic bolt, made over 300 horsepower through an automatic, and got 25 miles to the gallon going on the highway. Like, it was a good car. And like, now after many years, it's a 6-speed. It's got all sorts of mods, but we'll get to the details of that at some Race Wars release sometime. But it's one of those cars. A lot of people that have owned them move on to a different platform or sell them or whatever, and find themselves coming back. You know, so I like it.
They're not like anything else. Like,
yeah,
I've drove a lot of different Audis because of what I do. You know, wrenching on them and whatnot. It's my day job, actually, for the world, in case anyone lives in the greater St. Louis area or wants to just send their shitbox to me. SPR Industries does only Volkswagen and Audis and other VAG love cars. So find me on Instagram, send me a message. It's spr.industries. That's a random another plug.
Valid.
Sorry.
Valid. But
we also do 1986 CRXs, restorations, and delivery services if you'd like one of those.
The most excellent cross-country delivery service that I've experienced as a customer. But so talking about a car like no other.
How much have you spent on that car like no other?
The red one, or all of them combined, or what's your question?
We'll just say the Laser. What is a rough, rounded up average, you think?
Of what I have in the car. So I can tell you, I could pull it up right now and tell you to the penny what all of the maintenance is and all.
Don't scare our viewers, listeners.
So here's the deal. That car's had 4 sets of turbos.
Really?
Just different sizes, different, you know, so like, it's not...
My F4 BTs are still kicking strong from Franken Turbo without any problems.
I should say that I'm not on my 4th set of turbos. I'm on my 3rd set of turbos, but one has been modified and upgraded. So I went from KO3s to RP KO4s to Franken Turbo F4Hs to now the F21s. But I rebuilt had the F21s rebuilt with the V3 billet wheels. I think it's whatever the current setup is now. I have mine rebuilt to those.
I don't feel as dedicated to my car as you sound. Like, I don't feel like I've spent as much money because
I'm not dedicated. I'm a lost cause, bro. Like,
I don't even know.
Like, yes, I'm dedicated, but I can't go to another platform now, man. I'm attached.
Have you MSRP'd the car?
What do you mean?
Have you bought the car in aftermarket parts MSRP? Have you passed that point?
Yes.
Since you've owned it, not in maintenance, but in parts that you've wanted to upgrade.
So real talk vlog.
That's what it is called.
For the ownership of the car, for the life of the car, and everything I've done to it, I'm less than $50,000.
Okay, yes.
Now listen, I've put 100,000 miles on that car, big turbo.
Ditto.
You know, so like, there's a lot of people. I get a lot of slack because the car's been down a bunch. You know, it's spent time. You know, something goes wrong, I don't just immediately jump into it and fix it. You know, I got other cars I play with. So, like, I've gotten a lot of slack from folks about, oh, you know, Steve's car never runs. Okay, well, I've got 100,000 miles of big turbo. It had to have run somewhere. You know.
It was a dyno queen.
Yeah, 100,000 dyno miles, right. So,
yo, can you imagine the hours on a dyno? Dude. Could you even do that, I wonder, on a dyno?
I mean, you'd probably buy a couple dynos in the process.
I would think.
I don't know. That's out of my wheelhouse, man.
Well, we'll get somebody on from a Mustang dyno and see if we can.
For sure.
Yeah. Be like, hey, how off is a 4-wheel drive dyno with?
So, back to the podcast at hand. You've obviously done some research about the B5S4. I've lived the B5S4, but one of the things that when we were talking about what our topic this week should be, I kind of reached back and was like, okay, well, what brought me to B5S4s, right? So I own one. I had a Mark IV Jetta before that, but they're unrelated. Okay. Motor Trend released their review of the B5 S4 on my 14th birthday. And my dad took me to, whatever Books A Million bookstore, whatever brand bookstore it was. And I went to the magazine aisle, to the car mags, as I always do. And I was like, yo, I'm going to get this one today. And I still have that magazine with a B5 S4 on the front of it. It's not framed. It's actually like, I've ripped through it so many times, like as a teenager. It's like barely. Yeah. But there's one of the cool. There in the magazine, there's like wheel ads where you'd flip the page, and on both pages was just like wheels and what sizes they came in. Remember those ads? Yeah. So anyway, in this Motor Trend, I went back and like pulled up the Motor Trend article to like reminisce a little bit, right? And I got some quotes. I got 2 quotes that I think just kind of really give you a vibe of what the B5 S4 was when it arrived. You got to realize the person saying these things is an automotive journalist that tests performance cars for a living. Okay? It is the quintessential wolf in sheep's clothing, the epitome of a sleeper, and the best kept secret in the automotive world.
Oh, 100%.
That, like,
100%.
That still applies. I know that a lot of the guys at shops or different people in the B5 world that I've associated with, talking about car, they always come back to it, but it's one of those cars that's just so good all around. It's not perfect at any one thing. Are there faster cars? Yes. Are there better track cars? Yeah. Are there better family cars? Yeah. But if you're gonna have a car and you want some performance, it's hard to ignore a B5 S4.
Even in stock form, I would agree there.
Dude,
I drove the Spicy Biscuit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll rewind here. Steve's Biscuits. We've been to the tail in it. That thing is a complete and utter ripper. Like, I drive on tire noise. He brings the car out. It's on stock tires. I don't know what they were, Rodrigo. But then he puts it on R888s. It says,
no, stop. As much respect as I have to Toyo, they're Bridgestone SE71Rs.
Oh. My bad.
Essentially the same tire. I'm just not trying to give more credit to Toyo than is due.
Anyway.
Enter sponsor here, Toyo. If you'd like to send me a set of R888s for a 17-inch, 8.5-inch wide tire, I'm available.
I'll take 2 for the front in the same spacing for the race car, just for the record.
Nice. Oh, dude.
Actually, I would love to see. So wait a minute. Rewind. The Bridgestones that you ran, I thought they were Toyos.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. So how comparable are they, quote unquote?
They're very close. They're both. So I autocross the Laser. I have these tires for autocrossing. Talking about things it doesn't do perfectly. The B5 S4 is not an autocrossing car. I have fun because you have all of the weight out in front of the front axle, and getting the car to rotate in like slow speed environments it's not ideal. I mean, it's not an S2000. It's not a Miata. It's not a Lotus Elise. It's a B5 S4. It does autobahns well.
You know what would help with that?
Rear sway bar.
LSD in the rear.
Yeah, we're working on it, man. We're getting there.
Yeah.
So essentially the RE71Rs and the R888s, they're comparable. They're competitors.
Okay.
And I honestly think they're close in terms of price point. 100% reason that I went with the Bridgestones is that Matt, owner of the GSR, is a manager of a tire facility, and Bridgestone was the brand that they carry.
Gotcha. So you would still try Toyo R888?
100%. Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of the big power roll racing guys run the Toyos.
Yeah, a lot of drifting guys run Toyos too.
Oh, okay.
So hypothetically, if Toyo would like to send us a set, I think we would be great testers for them.
We would absolutely test them in all sorts of environments.
Yeah, we would test them on road conditions, track conditions, autocrossing conditions.
Hill climbs.
Hill climbs, yes, definitely. Up Pikes Peak a few times. Definitely down it.
Yeah.
Down it would do, yeah. Um, so all I was getting at was that that a B5 S4 in stock form with really good tires and suspension will pass emissions, not get you flagged by the EPA, and still gonna have a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And the aftermarket support is ridiculous. You just tighten up the suspension and the driveline on those, dude, and they're a monster. Like, I will own another B5, and when I do it, I'm gonna do it attacking the functionality of the car versus the performance. The mechanic. Okay, let me say this a different way because Steve's giving me the weirdest look right now.
Right.
So, the next B5 I do, it's gonna be suspension, bolting the driveline down, holding down like subframe.
So you mean performance outside of horsepower?
Money.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for simplifying it for me.
I get you.
I mean, dude, could you imagine the biscuits?
Dude,
mechanically?
Listen. Okay. I can imagine.
I gotta get our special guest wants to come on. Come on in. You wanna come say hi? You wanna come say hi?
Yo, this is the future B5er right there. What's up, Colton?
Yeah. Hey, say hi, Cole. Say hi to the viewer. Say hi to the listeners.
Hi.
Yo, 100% future B5er right there, bud. So.
No. He's way cooler than that. The B5. He is a URS4 type.
Okay. Fair. I can respect that. Five banger for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were talking about. I've only got one more quote, but from the same Motor Trend article, which was made an impression on me, but this kind of acceleration is usually the hallmark of a car with fewer than 4 doors, a cramped cockpit, and a harsher ride. Any quicker, and it would be running with Corvettes, Carreras, and maybe a $70,000 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG.
Yo, that's saying something when you consider what it is. And then it's not like it's a light car. Like, how heavy is an AMG?
I mean, an E-Class AMG is a full-size car. 4,200 pounds? 4,300 pounds?
And how much is a Corvette? We say what Corvette?
Oh, I mean, a Corvette of the era would have been a C5.
Yeah, that's
an LS1 dude. My favorite kill story ever involves a C5 Corvette. Okay, and like I was saying earlier, it had the KO4 turbos, downpipes, stock exhaust, and just a tune, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where I used to live was about a 30-minute drive from my office to my house, and about 10 minutes up the highway, and then a number of miles up twisty mountain roads, right? And at the entrance to my subdivision was a gas station. So I'm driving down the highway, and this Corvette is behind me, and he flashes his lights at me, so I get over, and he like takes off, and I immediately like pull him behind him and take off, and I just like follow him, you know, not per se racing, but he wants to go 80, I'm gonna go 80.5, you know, I'm gonna let him know that I'm there. And so
you were being one of those.
Yo, I chased him let him know that I could go around him if I wanted to. And we get to the gas station, right? We get to where I'm gonna pull in my belt, but he pulls in the gas station. So I like pull in the gas station too, start pumping my gas, right? And nonchalantly. And he walks in the store, comes out with his 6-pack of beer, and like doesn't even go back to his car. Immediately starts to walk towards me, and the laser's still pumping my gas. And he's like, "What the F is in that thing? I have a Corvette." And I was like, "It's just a V6, man." And you know,
they hate that. They hate it.
It was the worst. But now, in all fairness, a Corvette is also a weapon. Okay, like.
I mean, come on. Fast forward to 2020. Let's look at some of the motorsporting and where a Corvette is used.
Yeah.
All right, they're sick.
Sick.
All right, I got one.
Drop that quote for me, man, because...
Well, it's so I was curious and I Googled. I'm quoting Google, by the way. I stumbled across it. It says, "What kind of person drives an Audi?"
Okay. All right.
All right, you ready for this one?
I am.
Per Google, from carshop.co.uk, Audi drivers are most likely to be male, based in London or Scotland, and aged 25 to 39. They generally support the Conservative Party and are most likely to hold a professional role in business, consulting, advertising, marketing, or public relations sector.
Okay. That's fair. I don't fit any of those things except for the age category, but, I'm down.
I had one in here that it was an article that Richard Hammond, now I cannot find it. And I'm kind of aggravated myself because I can't find it now. But, we were talking earlier, sorry. We were talking earlier about, pricing. There it is. Do you know how much the most single expensive B5 S4 ever cost? And technically it was an RS4.
Was it at auction?
Yes.
Was
at
it
auction.
Was it a converted RS4 or an OEM RS4?
I believe it was an OEM RS4, and that's why this particular one went for so much.
Okay, and what country did it sell in? I'm asking for currency.
Oh, it was U.S. dollars.
Was U.S.
This
dollars.
This just happened this year. Did you hear about this? I wasn't meaning
Oh,
to say this.
no, you're good. You're good. $79,000.
No, it was $86,100. A 2000. So per Haggerty Media, this article came out in February of this year February of 2020, and it was a absolutely, as they quote, an excellent wagon taste. It had all the functional back seats. Sorry. Long story short, it is an 80,000 mile. This was on bringatrailer.com. It went for 86,000, including the BAT. Oh, that's 5% commission. My bad. I was reading over what it was.
Got it. No, you're
My
good.
bad, listeners.
No, but the B5 RS4, like we were talking about earlier, is the king of the B5 world. Like, all of the mods that most people put on their B5 S4s is to make them comparably performance-wise, makes them comparable to a B5 RS4. Essentially.
Oh, Miss Kitty, stop. All right, I do apologize. I was doing dad things and talking and listening and trying to do podcast things all at the same time.
No,
Miss Kitty, if you don't quit attacking my arm, you're gonna turn into lunch.
Yo, I don't like cat food, bro.
Yo, I'm Asian.
Oh, down. All right.
Don't
All right.
even.
So, look, man,
All right.
we.
I know for a fact that my culture in Korea has ate dog before.
That's fine. I'm American, man. It's fine.
You ever notice that there's no? Dude, this is. Yeah, never mind. I'm not even gonna go there. Bad stray dogs.
What?
In
So.
Chinese restaurants.
Jeez, man. So what events do you have on your schedule coming up?
Right now I have, as long as I get the car back together, Drift STL is putting on a road course event.
Oh, okay. That should be fun.
I'm gonna run the Worldwide Technologies road course, the same one that Formula Drift runs. Soon. They're gonna be running it soon. I just don't know what day it is.
Got it.
And Formula Drift. Followed up, I don't know if I'm going to be going to the Euro meet in Arkansas. I'm kind of 50-50 on that. I got to, find out if the person who had invited me is actually going to be going now, because it's relative to another date that, here or there. And then Race Wars. That's your event, sir. I don't know if you've heard about that one.
I heard it's September 18th at Marion County Raceway in Ohio. I also heard that it's $120 to race for 5 hours, but only $10 to park your car and show it off to the crowd.
How much is it to camp there?
$10.
Really? Even camping overnight is
Yep.
$10?
If you buy a gate pass or you buy a race pass, your camping is included.
Nice.
Yeah, it
So
should be
they
a good
could
time.
come down, they could come down, get crunked while watching a bunch of fools drag race, and
Yep.
then just sleep it off and leave in the morning.
Like we do, yes.
Oh, that seems like a perfect excuse to come then.
Awesome. September 18th, mark your calendar. But
You can also go to s4rw.net, I believe, and pick up your tickets on the pre-order.
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard also. s4rw.net as it's spelled there. So, but in between now and then, I'm going to Jersey for the
H2, whoa. No.
No, right. No, I'm not. But SCP Automotive is having a grand opening on the 28th of August, and so I'm going to go meet up with the B5 Freaks and cruise down to that shop opening with them. So
Yeah,
it should
didn't
be a
you
good
say
time.
they're doing like a old school style meetup? Is that what they're doing?
There was a post on Facebook that kind of went all diverted, but we kind of ended up deciding we're going to do our own thing because it's the B5 Freaks and S4 Race Wars. We can manage to get some B5s together and have a good time. So,
Right. So let me ask you, when I picture old school cruises, for me, I'm in the St. Louis area, so that means Hall Street looks like the 30. You know that scene in Fast and Furious where everyone's lining up in Toretto and that was Hall Street
okay.
for me. And then we went out, and then everyone grouped up, went down the road, and did a cruise. Was a high-speed run for 15 miles, where everyone tried to drag race at 180 miles an hour, like a bunch of idiots.
So an old school meet for me is like everybody goes to a parking lot that is surrounded by businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a mall or a Walmart or something, and you go in and you buy something, so you have a receipt, so you can't get kicked out of the parking lot, right? And then not everybody from the meet goes and takes a trip to Mexico, but a couple of people go look at the travel brochures right quick, and then come back and inform the other folks about what excursion type stuff is available, during the cruise. You can find old school S4 Race Wars meets on the internet, and that's exactly what kind of old school I have in my mind. Look up Race Wars 2013 or 2014 on YouTube, and you'll get what my idea of an old school meet is.
For the listeners out there, if you guys want to, that point where you come over here, smash the like button and check the links in the description below here, and I'll sure to get them from Steve, and we'll pop them in there to simplify the searching experience.
Right, but essentially, I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks with the Laser S4 in good hands, and hope to get it ready and bring it to Race Wars. But the calendar's pretty full, and we'll carry on.
What else you got between Race Wars and so you just got the Jersey trip and then Race Wars? Is that it?
Essentially, for now, yes. After the Race Wars trip, I am going to a Concours d'Elegance at Talbot County in Maryland. Taking a very nice car that's owned by somebody else to a very nice show, and I'll watch. That should be fun, but nothing big on the plans until we get back to Race Wars. It's okay. All of that was recorded on my end, so
It was. I mean, now.
on that note, folks, we're gonna wrap it up. So, Jack, give your best closeout. Go
On that bombshell. Yo, Steve-O.
What's up, man? What are you doing with your cameras, bro?
I'm not doing anything. There it is. That's working.
All right.
That's working. That's working. And on that bombshell, before Discord shuts down again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Tune in every Friday for your morning or afternoon commute. And check out the Real Talk Vlogs podcast.
Drive safe and keep the shiny side up. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Keep it between the mustard and the mayonnaise, people. Peace.